All right, let's talk Tana Talk 4, man.
Yeah, let's talk
All right,
Tana.
so we have been talking about Benny and the potential of Benny, and we're at one point they were calling us a Griselda podcast because it seemed like every week that's what we were covering. And Benny has been chipping away at just becoming a main name in hip hop. Period over the past what I would say about 3 4 years now. I would say since about 2018.
Yeah, since I
And
was strong.
and this was a very anticipated effort.
Mhm.
And today we got it. We got Tana Talk 4. What was your reaction just off first listen to Tana Talk 4?
It's great, and it's the album of the year so far, in my opinion.
Album of the year so far, huh?
Yes, it is. It's the album of the year right now.
You know what? I love how we got Johnny P's Caddy as the first look, and it was actually the first song. I thought that was a very fitting first song because he brought it, and then of course J. Cole brought it. And I feel like the momentum of the album just continued to ascend even from there.
So I feel like this is the culmination of a lot of things. I mean, one, this guy pays attention.
Hmm.
I think we both know that. He pays attention on a few levels. He pays attention to what you say and what I say, I think. But he pays attention to what goes on with his contemporaries, most notably his cousins, Westside and Conway. The first thing that I noticed is just like you, because we're going to do a full breakdown of this. First thing I noticed, like you, Johnny P's Caddy is what starts it off. So that
Hmm.
lets me know that this album is about to be pretty damn dope if you're starting it off like that, because you're not hiding that record. That means you're comfortable letting a record that strong go off rip.
Yeah.
That means you have heat. Song number two. This is the first thing I noticed.
Let's get to the
What,
track list. Go ahead.
yeah, back two times. What was one of the main complaints about West Side's album? On part
Features.
two,
Stove.
Stove was too far back.
Yeah. Stove is in the front. No, you're
Stove was
right.
in the foot where it belonged. See how Benny's paying attention?
Wait a minute. I didn't catch that. Yeah, that's crazy. Hold on one second. Let me get to the Carlos super chat. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to let you finish that thought because I think that's very interesting. DeCarlo
Mm-hmm.
said Benny delivered with this one. This is what we needed from him to properly place him among his peers with
Yes.
certainty. Correct. Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
All the
Now
things.
go back to that point that you were saying that
No.
we got Stove in the front because for the listeners who are just now starting to listen to our podcast, Coop's criticism of West Side's album was the fact that Stove's features were in the back.
Yeah. Oyster Tag and 99 Averex are in the back. You need to run that up. That's Stove. You
I
see how
didn't
you
even notice that. Yeah, he got Stove at number two.
see how Stove went crazy too, right?
Oh yeah, Stove's hook game is crazy.
What I tell you, he's Method Man today with the hooks. I
So,
told you he's the
Joe
closest.
Bro says Stove kills every feature and hook. Yeah, his
Yeah,
hook game
meth,
is high.
meth. Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of meth and hook game, man, I want to apologize to the people out there. In our breakdown the other night, most Def's hook game is a 10.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about brown skin lady and shit like that. And even if you think about um, 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 definition,
No, I mean, you and I
yeah,
talked behind the scenes
yeah.
via text message the other night, and I even said it, and you said it too. It's like, yeah, we bugging. Most hook game a 10.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people whose hook game is more versatile or
No,
better or memorable.
no, my Umi says,
Yeah. And
Tanya
so
might
yeah,
want to.
Stove is up there though. He's the
No.
current guy with these hooks, man.
I, like remember when I said this last year, I was like, yo, Stove with the hooks is like Method Man with the hooks. People's like, oh, you bugging? It's like, no, I ain't bugging. I know what I'm hearing. That dude crazy. And his spit game is you know what I'm saying, is just as entertaining as his hook game. Like this, I wasn't impressed with the song that he dropped last year,
Hmm.
but as far as features and hooks go, you're gonna be hard pressed to find somebody more impressive the last 2 3 years than Stove. And Reasonable Drought was still pretty great in its own right.
I want to
So
ask the people in the room though, while we're going
mhm.
down the list of this track list. What's your favorite song on Tana Talk 4? I'm seeing some people in the chat say that they thought Tana Talk 3 was better. Someone also asked if we thought this was better than God Doesn't Make Mistakes. Do you want to get to that yet, or you want to just?
I mean, we can get to the long thought process inside of it later. I do think that it's slightly better than God Don't Make Mistakes. Just in all honesty, I do think that it's slightly better than Tana Talk 3, although Tana Talk 3 probably still has more breathtaking highlights, but that's because you're getting acquainted with him for the first time.
I
So
agree. I think it has more home runs than this one, but I think from beginning to end, it's
right,
hard for me to say Tana Talk 3 is better than Tana
right,
Talk 4.
right. He flashes on Tana Talk 3 more, but part of why he flashes is because you're not as acquainted. So when you're hearing Rubber Bands and Wait or Rick or 97 Hove for the first time, you're like, who is this guy?
Right.
Like, who is this dude?
It's
Who is
that
this
flash
dude?
effect.
It's that flash effect in Tana Talk 3, just in all honesty, if you want to be objective, it's just not as consistent as this project.
It's not. And I love Tana Talk 3.
Me too. We feel like it's his best project. It's not in what this is, though. No,
All
not in
right,
the,
Super Plug is next.
yes.
Man Nan says that's 5 out of 5. He said a banger from production, bars, storytelling. Benny delivers.
Once again, I have Super Plug, Mike, Super Plug, that's my shit.
What's your favorite song on here?
It's between Super Plug, Uncle Bun, or Busta Brick Nick.
I was gonna say Buster Bricknick. What did you think about? Well, we're getting to it. We're gonna go track for track. So, what all you got to say about Super Plug, other than Alchemist is a top 5 producer all time?
First of all, at some point, we're going to talk about Alchemist.
We're gonna talk about Alchemist after this because what Alchemist is doing right now, man. I told you offline. Alchemist is the DJ premier of today. What DJ Premier was in the 90s, and being able to work with every credible MC who has some bars and give them a track or two. Alchemist is doing that now, like from Benny to Conway to West Side. And then you jump outside of that, then you got Currency, you got Freddie.
Don't forget
Boldy. He's making full albums with these guys.
Full albums.
And they're dope ass albums too.
Alfredo, anybody? Alfredo or Freddie Gibbs?
What he's doing right now cannot be ignored. And he's been doing this for a long time.
You want to know what? Actually, we need to hand out producer flowers today too. Can we go back to the first track and see who produced what? Because I know it's all Alchemist and Derringer featuring Beat Butcher somewhere.
Well, let's do that. Johnny P's Caddy is the Alchemist.
Okay.
Back 2 times, that's Derringer and Beat Butcher. Derringer Beat Butcher. I'm talking about Ann. Super Plug, that's the Alchemist.
Yeah, that's how. Okay, so let's stop right there. I just want to make sure we're seeing production-wise where it's going.
Okay.
Super Plug is the record that actually flashes to me like a Tana Talk 3 record, like Rick, like 97 Hove, like Rubber Bands and Wait. That's the guy right there. And so you feel him on that record. When he's in that pocket, that's where you feel him most, because that's where he feels himself most. And so, for me, what his steez is right there in that record, in that hook. You know what I mean? That's him. I can hear the truth and the grit behind it, and it sticks to you different when he does that. That's his pocket. So Super Plug, that's the shit that core-wise, he should always do, in my opinion. Because it's always going to work for him the same way something like Keep It Thorough is always going to work for Prodigy. The same way Jada Kiss coming in with the witty punchline is always going to work for him. When he creates that feeling he creates on Super Plug, he's there. He's where he belongs as an MC. And that's not to say that he can't do more. But right there.
Okay.
Next record.
We got Weekends in the Perrys featuring Baldy James. That's Alchemist as well.
Yep, that's Alchemist too. Boldy's flow is nimble on there. Boldy's flow over the past 18 months has been getting a little bit more nimble on these tracks. And most of them are Alchemist tracks because, once again, to talk about Alchemist, well, he just did what? He just did 4 of Boldy's last 7 projects, I think.
Yeah.
By himself.
It's insane what the Alchemist is doing right now. Alchemist, you got some producers in the basement or something? helping you out with all this stuff. Like
Definitely, I
this is
mean,
some RZA shit.
that's a, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. I actually wanted to talk about where we need to place him in the top five because outside of Dre and RZA and Kanye, it may be Premier just because of the home runs with the home run artists. I don't know if we can put anybody ahead of him at this point.
You
There's too many,
know, you
too
know,
many epic beats.
it's funny, man. It's like, I'm a huge RZA fan. And RZA made some of my favorite beats ever in hip hop. Like if we talk about Fourth Chamber, we talk about Ice Cream, we
Right.
talk about, Shadow Boxing, whatever. I could go on and on. And I remember seeing a poll. It might have been almost 10 years ago now. It was on another page. I want to say it was Ambrosia for Heads or something. And they were doing like a tournament style thing. And it was RZA versus Alchemist. And it was super close. And I'm like, man, people are bugging. Like, how is this even close? Like, no disrespect to Alchemist. But I might be eating my words 10 years later, man. It's going to be very difficult, even as a RZA fan here, to make a legit argument for what he's been able to do over the past 22 years. We were just talking about offline, like, keep it thorough. We gonna make it. That was like 2000. It's 2022.
I mean, okay, all honesty though, what he's really going to have, see, it's going to be hard for him to go further than where he's gone unless the artists do something special for him because, like, how about this? Do you think he's a better beat maker than Pete Rock or Jay Dilla?
Somebody just mentioned Dilla in the chat.
Right. He's not a better beat maker than those guys, but for separate reasons, obviously, the work, Mike. Do I think he's a better beat maker than Pete Rock or Dilla? No. Pete Rock doesn't work, even though Pete Rock worked, he don't work like this at this level, this long. And obviously we know what happened with Dilla, so I don't even think I need to express or explain that. But when you put all of those things together, it's like, is he the beat maker that RZA is in terms of originality? No. Dilla, Q-Tip? No. Consistency? Got all of them.
It's the output. And
right.
The output is jarring. It's like,
right.
It can't be ignored. It can't be ignored.
And to be honest with you, and here's how I feel, well, the difference right now between Alchemist and RZA is Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, and Method Man.
Well, the thing is, Coop, we got to keep it real.
Bastard. You get what I'm saying? No, because the MC matters, because even when you go to Dre and
of course
Primo,
it matters.
Go look at the MCs rhyming over their shit. And so what I'm saying is that, man, well, RZA got ODB, Method Man, Raekwon, and Ghostface. So that's just the advantage in terms of how those records are going to come out.
And we also have to be honest and look at what has RZA really done outside of those individuals in a more current space. Because the thing is, with production and being a producer, it's not like being an artist where you sit there and see somebody get old on stage. Like, you're a producer, your mind works, you have a musical mind. You should be able to keep that going. And what I will say is, like, RZA had 4 strong years, probably 4 of the strongest years you can ever think of in hip hop. But does 4 strong years debunk 22 years of consistency? It's very hard. So and I saw K. Thompson in there. He said something about Dilla being more diverse. Of course. Dilla's something else.
Dilla's something else.
We're talking,
I'm about to say, if we're just talking about, well, you want somebody to build a beat from scratch. Well, then Dilla, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all know that. But other factors get taken into place in production, just like MCing. But to the point, like with Alchemist and RZA, but what I'm trying to, it's very Biggie like what RZA did in those 5-6 years, though, Mike. And so when you're like, is that 5-6 years enough? It's like versus almost everybody in the history of rap production-wise. Yes, it is. Just like what Biggie did in that, like, 4 or 5 year gap is better and enough for him eternally to be in the top 10. No, same effect with RZA in that.
Because I think it's different, and I'm a RZA fan. It's different.
Hold on. Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying when I say this, Mike, and you should know this as a Q-Tip fan. Well, East Coast hip hop sounded like Q-Tip, Large Professor, and Pete Rock before it entered the Wu-Tang, and it's been sounding like RZA and Havoc since. So you can't say that because he literally.
But RZA is still putting out records though. Like, did we listen to?
I get what you're saying, but where's Al? I mean, like he shifted the climate of the whole coast style of beat making. Alchemist never had that effect. And here's the reality of the matter: for as great as Alchemist is, and for the records he produced, does he have a classic album that he produced from end to end that's fucking with the purple tape or Enter the Wu-Tang?
But again, that's part of the MCs.
Hold on. We're not done saying all the albums yet. You get what I'm saying? Or Iron Man. Does he have?
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Supreme Clientele, because that's executive produced by RZA. So for 22 years of those greatness, I just gave you 5 RZA albums in 5 years. Go show me the Alchemist executive produced albums better than that, because the closest that you're gonna get is Alfredo, this, and something else, and that ain't got shit on the purple tape.
I'm gonna be. Let's say this respectfully. Show me the MCs that he made a whole project for that are at the level of Ghostface, Method Man, and Raekwon. So that's not really a knock on him per se.
So let's go back to my original point.
Let's just say in a vacuum, right? Mm-hmm. Do you not feel like Ghostface in his prime, Raekwon in his prime, and Method Man in his prime, and ODB working with the Alchemist? You don't think he would have been able to make a classic record for them just based on what you're hearing from what he's able to make with so many dope MCs consistently?
No, Mike, I don't think you heard what I said. I said right now, what is separating RZA and Alchemist is Method Man, Old Dirty Bastard, Raekwon, and Ghostface. So I'm actually agreed to what you're saying before you're saying it, but that doesn't change history.
I think we're disagreeing on the actual result, though. We all agree that those MCs gave him an advantage as a producer, but and we've talked about this before. I think for me, I think that the greater producer is somebody who can work with a diverse array of talent and sometimes lesser talent and get more output.
I can agree with you on that to a degree.
It's like a coach, you know what I mean? Like, I give Larry Brown props, right? You know what I'm saying? Because Larry Brown never had superstars, but he got the best out of the players that he had. And if he had a superstar, he had one. You know what I mean?
Hold on. See, but that's what I mean. You're not telling the whole story. Part of the reason why Larry Brown never had superstars is because Larry Brown wore everybody out with his coaching style, so it was harder for him to stay anywhere more than 5 years. So
that's fair, but he came with results.
No, so listen to what I'm saying, though. Do I think Alchemist could have done the same job RZA did with those MCs? Yes, it's a definite possibility. But in reality, Supreme Clientele, Liquid Swords, Into the Wu-Tang, Only Built for Cuban Links, Return to the 36 Chambers, to Cal, Wu-Tang, those exist, Mike.
They do exist.
And Alchemist don't have that.
RZA doesn't either.
No, Mike. He has that. As a matter of fact, him having that is really the only reason he's even in this conversation, because it's not that just he was a great producer on those albums. That's some of the best rap shit ever.
I agree with you. And I started off what I said with that, but like you said, man.
What Alchemist is doing. That's different than what Alchemist provides, because what Alchemist isn't providing you is some of the best rap stuff, genre shifting, culture shifting stuff of all time. RZA did that. Okay. He's giving you more modern day classics, and he's proven himself transitional over eras to be it. But there's not one album of Alchemist that he executive produced that you're going to cut on that's going to ignite the feeling of RZA's 4 to 6 best produced executive projects. So, like, you can't put him.
I understand that, and I think we all are in agreement on that. I think where
he's not better than.
I think where we're disagreeing is at some point we got to reward those who go to work.
No, you know how I feel about people going to work.
You know what I'm saying? And I love RZA. I just wish that I got that feeling from some records, you know, over the past 22 years at least. Like, what he can't produce anymore? Like, what is it?
No, it's not that. I guess in this climate, Mike, and maybe I'm not just giving a RZA a pass about this, Mike, because you're saying something very valid. especially about the producers. And I heard what you said earlier about the production mind and how it's not like it's an MC where it's like you got more of a shelf life. It's like, no. Your mind is geared towards something different. So you can extend this player longer. What I would submit to you, because of how hip hop has always been, most of these all-time great producers that we're talking about, Mike, I mean, they just flash for me now anyway outside of Alchemist. It's like how many, I mean, all jokes aside, outside of Ye, when the last time you heard some Dre beats where you was like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Where you was really, really like,
Yeah.
The last time you checked for Pete Rock really was Brutus. Mike, you feel what I'm saying?
It's
the last time you checked
for record.
A dope ass record. Last time you checked for Q-Tip. Last time you checked for Preem. So it's like we don't really check for these guys anymore to do that because of what they already did. It was already enough. And of all those guys who did it, RZA was the one who did it the best. He's really the one with the album of executive produced classic. Mike, he did more than Q-Tip did in a shorter time in terms of making classic executive produced albums.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why, and you know, I want to address this too. I think somebody said that the super chats ain't working. Maybe I turned off the, maybe me turning off the clicks did something with that. We gotta fix that. Hold on one second. They said the super chats ain't working for them. I want to ask you this though. I mean, because I think that this is valid. The reason why Wu-Tang albums didn't continue at the level that they needed to, or should have, is because of the production, right?
Well, they burned him out for one. There was every beat like produced by him with the exception of like one or two here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a burnout factor, but there was also too like the game kind of changed too. Like you got to remember Wu-Tang coming out, Wu-Tang Forever's coming out in 1997, which is the same year that I guess what they say the shiny suit era is kind of like in there too. And so, like you have to understand when 1997 is coming around, like half of their camp are bona fide rap stars now, like Ray and Ghost and Meth. Like they're stars by the time 1997 is rolling around. Dirty's something else. Like Dirty's already an icon in 1997, Mike.
But they also have Fourth Disciple and True Master. And
I mean, True Master did Heaters on Wu-Tang Forever, and he did Brooklyn Zoo.
Yeah, I mean it was shared around on Wu-Tang Forever.
Fourth Disciple did Scary Hours, Cash Still Rules.
Actually, my favorite song on there.
And True Master did Heaters, but those were the only beats they did on there. True Master did the MGM. Sorry.
Oh, and these are big records, man. What are we talking about?
You know how I feel about the MGM. You know how I feel about the MGM.
I mean, we could go on and on about that. I know we want to get back to Tana talk real quick. I'm gonna try to fix this issue with the super chats. Y'all let me know what type of message y'all are getting. It's saying it's blocked or whatever. But go ahead.
So
we are on what number are we on?
Weekend at Perry.
Okay.
Weekend in the Perry, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, that super chat worked. Mad Max was able to get in. He said, LOL. The RZA hold on one second. And then we'll get back to Weekend at Perry. Chat's going in, man. Love it. All right. Mad Max says, LOL, the reason that you got the Woo, no disrespect to the Alchemist, but the purple tape alone is better than anything Alchemist has done over the past 22 years. Let's stop. Okay.
So Mike, that's not what I'm saying. It's not just that it's the purple tape. It would be different if he had one album like that. Like, no, Mike, he has 5 albums like that.
My only thing, and I love RZA, like I said, does he never fall from the rankings when we haven't gotten anything recent? And when I say recent, I mean past 20 years as a producer. You know what I mean? Like, I get you being burnt out and in 97, 98, and what was Silkworm and all that stuff, that was like 98. And even with Supreme Clientele, there was a variety of people there. Now, maybe he just don't want to produce, and that could be a thing.
I mean, that could be a thing, too, because, I mean, he could be locked and set in stone, but this is what I'm going to keep on submitting to you. Well, what really needs to happen to move... Okay, so, once upon a time, Mike, in this culture, Marley Marl was considered to be the greatest hip-hop producer of all time.
He's still one of them, in my opinion.
I agree. Because you can't take away what he's done
No.
and the classic albums that he produced and the classic records that he produced. And so because of that, you can't move him. And what I'm trying to tell you is in the hip hop spectrum of executive production of albums, where you are actually the majority beat maker, nobody in this rap shit has it like RZA. It is
Was
hard
he
to
not moved by RZA? No,
No.
now let's be real here.
Right, he was moved by RZA. You know what
Yeah.
it took to move Marley Marl? It took DJ Premier working with arguably the three greatest MCs of all time, in Nas, Big, and Jay. And it took RZA literally having the best producer run ever in terms of quality output of albums with some of the greatest MCs of all time that we didn't know were the greatest MCs of all time at the time. Like, it took epic stuff to move Marley Marl. And it's going to take the same thing to move RZA. And I haven't heard one producer coming from anywhere in the last 20 years that has a catalog, production-wise, that says, Enter the Wu-Tang, Return to the 36 Chambers, Only Built for Cuban Links, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, Wu-Tang Forever, and I made 98% of the beats on there and executive produced it? No, the closest thing Alchemist has is Alfredo. Where would you put Alfredo in the canon of those albums I just named? And that's why RZA's going to stand where he's going to stand. Because for as great as Alchemist is in 22 years, he hasn't made one project that equals the 6 projects I just named. And he's great. And it's cool.
That's fair.
That's RZA. But that's RZA.
Let's get back to Tana talk.
Yeah, that's RZA. Like I told you, RZA can fade Dre. Mike, RZA can fade Dre.
No, wait a minute. One of our first podcasts, I told you, I was like, yo, RZA's going to beat Premier in that versus.
You did tell me that. And I told you Premier needed to pay all his Big and J and Nas haymakers, as in every last one.
We got to have I see we got to have a producer conversation because I'm getting a lot of stuff in the chat.
Yeah.
So I said, what about Swiss? What about him? No, I'm just kidding.
Don't get Mike started on Swiss. Don't do that.
Weekends in the Perrys featuring Boldy James, man. You know what I got from this record, and I like the record, but it felt like they didn't make this song together. I mean, and I don't know if they didn't, but they sounded very separate. But maybe because I'm so used to Boldy James working with Alchemist anyway, and they kind of got their own flavor and their own vibe. But, you know, it felt like a punch in, but it was a dope record.
You know, I think this is one of those records. I would agree with you to a degree. It's a dope record. And Benny even references it on the track. He says, I got Alchemist up later. You know, so he was burning the midnight oil. So for me, this could have been something that they made late and woke up the next day and Boldy came in because they're in LA, you know what I mean? And it's Alchemist. Alchemist and Boldy are always working together. So this could have been something he caught the wind of the next day. Could have been one of those 3-4 in the morning sessions. You waking up in the like 9-10 o'clock, go get some breakfast, you know. Boldy comes in back. So it could have been one of those where, Boldy, listen to what we did last night. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, I hate to switch off, but so many people in the chat are saying this. They're saying that RZA would not fade Dr. Dre in a versus.
Okay.
I don't know, guys.
Keep on telling yourself that. Keep on telling yourself.
Guys. I mean,
keep on telling yourself that.
And you know what? I don't know. And I say I don't know because I am I'm the person on one hand that said that Dr. Dre stuff hits different, comes through the speakers different, and it does.
It does.
It does. So I don't know. I think that would actually be a really good matchup. I think that creatively,
hold on. This hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Bring the Pain, that Incarcerated Scarfaces, that Cream.
That energy that those RZA records have.
Yeah, it's different.
I think the only Dre songs that got that kind of energy is the Snoop shit.
And a couple of other joints out there, like In the Club. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got some other stuff floating out there, but it's like, you play In the Club, it's like, I'm going to play Cream or Ice Cream.
Well, we got to go back to, like, the NWA stuff to get that kind of energy, too.
Those beats aren't as good. You play those beats against RZA, you taking the L. You can play some
I
of the
don't know,
stuff.
man. You play Straight Outta Compton, man. Straight Outta Compton hard.
You can play Straight Outta Compton. You can play some of the records off Niggas for Life. You can play some of the stuff off the DLC, but you can't play. You got to be. You're not
can't play Fuck the Police. That beat doesn't hold up against RZA stuff.
You can't play most of them records against RZA best stuff. See what he gonna do when something like Shadowboxing come on? Even though that's Dre, he doesn't have anything inherently creative or original like Shadowboxing, where it's like, oh my god, like what kind of crack is that? Like what is that?
I break it down to the bone gristle.
And
Those
the energy of the MCs, Mike. That's what I'm saying. I keep telling people this: when you hear RZA tracks, you're gonna hear Raekwon and Method Man, and Ghostface.
When
and
it comes to RZA tracks, I don't know how to act.
You're gonna hear Inspector Deck and the Jizza. That's not fair. He's got an advantage because of the MCs that you're gonna hear rhyming on his beats. It's gonna be like, oh my god, like it's not fair.
And you know what, the thing, and I hate that they moved away from producers doing verses, because honestly that makes the most sense. It's the most entertaining for the audience. But what happens when producers are doing the verses, you don't have to be inundated with somebody performing the record. You're actually just playing the record as is. And I think that's really an advantage for RZA in a certain sense. You know what I mean? Because you play Incarcerated Scarfaces, that shit feels like it did when it first dropped.
That's what I mean about the energy of the MCs, the time and what they doing. It was so culture shifting. That's what I mean. Those records, when they drop, it's not regular.
Yo, man, name brings up a good one. These Nuts is hard.
These Nuts is my favorite beat on the Chronic.
It's crazy. That beat in itself is like the quintessential 90s West Coast hip hop sound. Like it is like the sound. Like that shit is crazy.
I didn't say that he would beat Dre.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm saying he can. I didn't say he would, but I'm saying he can.
Okay, I think that's a better way to place it. He can.
As long as he's not sipping and picking the tracks, there'll be no more of that.
Rigor Raw said it's only 20. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it. And I think that Dre would have the same problem that Premier had going against RZA. He has so much to choose from. With RZA, you know what you're about to get.
Right. No, I mean, like,
you know what you're about to get.
Like, hold on. It's like, this is what I mean about it's different. Well, what you got for Bring the Pain, really?
Explosive is hard, man.
Right. No. But hold on. This is what I'm saying. Explosive is going to win.
Phone tap.
But y'all talking about the best of the best. We can just go through RZA tracks. That's what I'm saying. Verbal Intercourse, Guillotine, Incarcerated Scarfaces, Ice Cream.
You know, listen. I smell a mock versus coming on.
Killer Hills 10304, Duel of the Iron Mike. You want me to keep going? Like, this is ridiculous.
I smell a mock versus coming on. I'll take Dre.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
I'll take Dre.
Right. I'm going to be pulling up all types of production credits. Who played the guitar and the keyboards on this one? Because it's just RZA over here.
Nah, K. Thompson. Nah, not at all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could do that.
I mean, we can do that?
Yeah, I'm with it. I'll take Dre.
Good luck.
I think I got a lot of luck on my side when it comes to that one, man. But the only problem with Dre is we have to understand, like, what he actually produced. I think that's the biggest discrepancy.
Right. Hold on. Because I was about to say, if you're doing Dre, you got to let me play Wu-Tang records that maybe RZA didn't produce, because maybe Dre didn't produce all of these records, like, depending on what you pick. Like, because if I get to pick Brooklyn Zoo, like, you're not going to win if I can insert Brooklyn Zoo, you're not going to win. If I get to play Brooklyn Zoo, you're not going to win. Because then I can play Bring the Pain, Brooklyn Zoo, and Incarcerated Scarfaces in order. You're going to have to bring your heat out right there. You're going to have to bring all your heat out.
I don't want to get into that. I'm going to play the stuff that I know that Dre made. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're going to do that?
I'm going to play the stuff I know Dre made, because I don't want you out here playing True Master shit and Fourth Disciple. That's not what this format was made for.
If you're doing that, let's go.
Okay. Mad Max has another super chat. He said RZA beating Dre. Daz was better than Dre. Oh, he said RZA's beating Dre. Daz is better than Dre.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
But I get what
we got to put some respect on Dr. Dre's name. So, are you guys going to sit here and say that still DRE is Scott Storch?
Scott Storch seems to think so.
He played it on his verses. All right, this is how we're going to work this. If somebody else's name is on the production credit for a track and Dre's name's not on it at all, then yeah, I can't play that.
Okay.
But if Dre's name's on it, I should be able to play that. You should be able to play something like, because I think RZA played Brooklyn Zoo, and his name's not even on the credits. Yeah, we can't do that.
Definitely planning on playing Bring the Pain, Brooklyn Zoo, and Incarcerated Scarfaces in order. In order.
I pretty much know what you're gonna play, man, because I mean, I'm a RZA fan. I know what you should play. I'll put it that way.
Hey, you want to know what? It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
There you go. All right. Speaking of which, go to the next track. We got 10 more commandments.
So can I say something right quick? This record is super dope. And maybe it's just because I'm so in love with the first version. Maybe it's just because I feel like it can't be duplicated. But I wasn't as impressed as everybody else is with this record, but it's a really dope record. I just think, personally for me, Johnny P's Caddy, Back 2 Times, and Superplug, I preferred more. But that's not to say that this wasn't really dope. It was actually one of those things that solidified for me how great the album was. Because I was like, oh man, this record's pretty great. And I don't even think it's one of the 2 best tracks I've heard so far. And I'm on track 5.
All right. That's a couple things, man. I mean, I dig the concept. I think Benny did his thing on it. I'm glad they chose a different beat. I was scared that he was going to go with the Premier beat. I think they might have attempted that because remember he said that he was in the studio with Premier?
I was going to talk about that, but you want to go there?
Yeah, let's go there. I mean, we're on that song.
I mean, Primo didn't make this album, and so because this is where I pulled the production credits, because I was like, that don't sound like Preem. Like, what? And so I immediately thought, well, this is about to be album of the year. And this is where I paused right here, because let me tell you what happened. Last night, I was waiting for this album to drop. All jokes aside, Mike, I fell asleep about 11:40. I woke up about 12:11. I grabbed the phone. I grabbed my headphones. I came down right here and I sat and I listened to this album right here.
Nice.
Till 1 o'clock in the morning. You got my text when you woke up. When I got right here, and I stopped, because I thought everything that I heard was brilliant to this point. But when I got right here, before the track even played past 15 seconds, I was like, that's not Preem. I stopped, and that's when I checked the production credits, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm like, this motherfucker's serious. Preem didn't make the cut on this album.
So you think that's what? Well, I guess that is what happened. Either that, or they saved it for something else, or maybe he's working on something else with Preem.
Might be holding, but whatever he did with Preem didn't fit into the mold of what he had going on. Now, at the time that Preem came on, based on what I was seeing on social media, Alchemist and Derringer had already did some work. So whatever happened with Preem, not to saying that it wasn't dope enough, but I'm saying it didn't fit the zone that he was in. And he, appropriately, Preem didn't make this album for a reason. And it's not to say the record wasn't good enough, but even what was going on, even if they tried to do something with this record, it wasn't good enough to make this album in terms of how the fit went. And that's when I knew he was crafting this album super seriously. And I'm like, oh man, the rest of this album's about to sound this way, which means it's going to be the first album that he's made that sounds this way. You feel
What
me?
do you think about Puff being on this track? Necessary or?
It shows his pull. And so I like the flex. I usually don't like flexes like these, but how about this? I prefer you flex like this than do a whole album with Hit Boy. You feel me?
That's fair.
I prefer you go cover the Biggie subject matter and put Puff on, than do the whole Hit Boy thing trying to fit. No, I like this flex more for him, and he pulled it off well. It's still a dope record. What do you think about it?
I'm on the fence, man, because again, I agree with what you said about the flex, and I dig that because it shows that people are paying attention to what Griselda's doing, Benny in particular, including somebody as big and notable as Puff. And it gives that cosign. It reminds me of when, Rick Ross redid "You Nobody Till Somebody Kills You."
I didn't like that.
You know what? It's funny you
You
say
do.
that.
You do. I
I
know.
didn't like when I first heard it was happening. I didn't like it. I'm like, that song shouldn't be touched. And then I'm like, man, this is actually really good. Rick Ross did a good job. And, Puff coming on there, co-signing and whatnot. It's what's necessary if you're going to attempt to do that. And so I think that's where it's a double thing with Benny here. It's like, okay, you need that stamp of approval from Puff. And also, like you said, it's that flex. Like, look, we big time now. Because it don't get no bigger than Puff.
No, it doesn't. Just real quick, I didn't like the Ross thing, and here's why. It's not that the record's not good. That's the greatest song to ever end one of the greatest rap albums ever. And it's actually a career-ending song because we really never get a full record off of an album from him ever again. It's one of his best, it's one of his best mic performances ever. It's a chilling mic performance. It is a foreshadowing and foretelling mic performance. Puff is literally speaking psalms to start off the song. Yeah. So no, I don't like it being touched. That's different than touching the 10 crack commandments.
No, he didn't even really touch it. He just added on to it.
The main thing that I liked about the record and what I appreciated is that he tried to add on to it and not replicate it. And you see it immediately when he starts at 20 instead of starting at 11. He's like, no, I'm backwards. I'm not even going to try to continue it like that. Got you. That's one of those things again. Oh, he's thinking. He knows how our hardcore Biggie fans feel. And he's not even going to misstep it since he's already making a play to redo it. It's one of those thinking moments where I feel like I can see that he's leveled up in terms of his behind the scenes. The MC, the voice, the flow is there. This is one of those things, he's thinking now. He's running the 10 crack commandments backwards, 20 to 11. I'm not going to pick up where he left off. I can't pick up where Big left off. He's thinking.
Yeah. No, I like the approach. I think that was really dope. And, again, I know one of my predictions for this album was the fact that we were going to get 97 Hole Part 2 with Jay on here. I think there was a missed opportunity, not from Benny, but from Jay, to be a part of this project. I think that would have been a great look for Jay-Z to be on this project.
So and also too, if, first of all, Jay should have been on this project just because, the only real outsider on this project is J. Cole and Puff. So Benny kept it strictly in camp. So for an album this good, even for Jay, you should take that seriously and want to insert yourself and contribute to this. Because I imagine that Benny has so much respect for Hov that this is the type of album that he would want to take 6 or 7 tracks to Hov before even asking him to be on it.
No, for real.
See what I got going on? Challenge. You feel me?
Straight up.
So you're right. Jay actually missed an opportunity because I actually do want to talk about when we get done, part of what makes this album great, and we talk about this so many times. Well, all the guest appearances are great, but it still feels like his shit.
Exactly. And again, people have to understand that can happen. This doesn't feel like a bunch of features, and I think we're going to get to one of the major features, in my personal opinion.
Right, hold on. Who did the beat for 10 More? That's Derringer?
Yeah.
It felt like Derringer, right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got Tyson versus Ali.
Right.
A personal favorite here. That's Derringer featuring Conway the Machine.
Yep.
I think this is another one, man, that according to hip hop is one of those platforms that, we kind of started off doing a lot of comparisons, MC comparisons. And I know we've done some polls with, Conway and Benny before. And they've always been super close. And then you always have people in the comments like, yo, you can't compare the two like how we would do with Method Man, Redman, or whatever. And this song sounds like a play on that. You know what I mean? On the fact that fans are out here saying that, okay, who's better between Conway and Benny?
Okay,
and I'm gonna be real. Conway murdered this shit.
So on Conway's "Look What I Became," which I think is 2019 or 2018. Let me check and see. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. It won't take me long to pull it up because I keep that shit with me. Oh, no wonder. It's on my it's under iTunes.
And by the way, I think Ali would beat Tyson any day. That's just my personal opinion.
Tyson would never get close to Ali.
Yeah.
He's 6'2". His reach is like that of somebody. He's 6'2" and a half. He has the reach of somebody about 6'7", 6'8". The most lethal jab in the history of boxing, like the type of jab that can keep you from hitting him the entire fight. You have to be exceptionally powerful, sound, swift, and tactful to beat him, or he just has to be past his prime. Nobody's beating that guy in his prime.
I think Joe Frazier has a very similar style to Tyson, and he did a good job.
Joe Frazier is so much more fundamentally sound as a boxer than Mike Tyson was after Cus D'Amato died, so it's not the same conversation. Joe Frazier is sound.
Yeah.
And punishing.
Yeah.
Like both of those things at the same time, as in footwork, head work, body work, arm work, everything working and gonna stick your ass and you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Ali,
different.
pound for pound, man, is the best boxer I've ever seen.
Yeah, period.
Heavyweight, but
so on Conway's album, Look What I Became, they have a back and forth, Benny and Conway, on Tito's back, which I think is one of the better back and forths, actually. It's very Styles and Jada-like with the back and forth. And you can hear where they're kind of on the same level as MCs, in my opinion. And Conway has just ascended somewhere special since there. And so even though I feel like Conway has the better verse on here, I feel Benny is about as close as he's been to Conway since George Bondo and since Tito's back, which was 2019 and early 2020. And I say this to say one of the more impressive things about the album is that we already know Benny's great and lyrically sharp. He did up it a notch for this album. He did. And this is the record where it shows, because to be quite honest with you, for about the last 18 months, Conway's just been straight up out rapping him, and I didn't totally feel this way about this record. That was the first time I didn't feel that way in a minute.
Yeah, no. They gel really well. I think
they always gel really well.
Yeah, I think Benny was in the zone on this album. Like you said, even with everyone on here, they all felt like it was his song. Because I do feel like J. Cole had a better verse than him. But it's slightly, but it's not by a lot. But it still feels like Benny's joint. You know what I mean?
Right, and it feels like Benny is there. That's what I mean. Okay, so first of all, I don't know what type of water from the well that J. Cole and Lil Wayne are on, but those are already all-time great MCs that are having resurgent great runs right now.
I think they're inspired, man. I think it's just being inspired.
That's exactly what I'm about to say. Now, who's been inspiring these dudes to rap like this? Because they're actually doing songs. They've been doing songs with the guys been inspiring to rap like this. I hope people are paying attention.
Yeah.
The old heads that you're seeing rhyme their ass off, with the exception of Nas, who literally called Conway during Conway's drink camps and told him, "You that dude."
I was going to say, he's been listening too.
Well, he looked at Conway and pointed at him before all this music started dropping.
Yeah.
Right before he started doing all this, he looked at Conway, you. So he's obviously paying attention.
Yeah.
AZ's obviously paying attention.
Straight up.
Mike, you and I were having behind the scenes conversation about giving AZ Lyricist of the Year until Nas dropped Magic, correct?
Correct.
Because we felt like Do or Die 2 lyrically was better than King's Disease 2, beginning to end, bar for bar.
Yeah.
Even though the songs weren't better and the album wasn't better, right?
No, correct.
Who album was AZ on? He on West Side's album.
Yeah.
He on Part B with Stove on 99 Averex. Who on AZ album? Lil Wayne and Conway on Ritual.
Yeah.
These niggas is inspiring dudes to rap. Conway might be at the focal point of it lyrically. No, Benny has something to do with this as well, and he's showing why on this album. This is proof. Oh, you talk about burden of proof? No, this is the proof. It's the proof. This is the album that I mean, critics, and by critics, I mean my black ass, because I'm the only person that I see ever criticizing what he's done the last 2 years. This is what I'm talking about, because this is album of the year right now, very much the way that Alfredo was the album of the year when they got released about the same time 2 years ago. And it's very comparable to Alfredo. And I say that in glowing regards. You know how much I play Alfredo.
I was going to say, you do. Uncle Bun, featuring 38 Special. Listen, man.
This right here.
Yeah.
This shit right here.
He kind of 38 reminds me of Siegel on this.
You want to know what I heard? First of all, you can tell how long they've been rapping together.
Yeah.
Because the chemistry is just, it's bananas.
Yeah, man.
But real talk, this and Super Thug were my favorite records. Like just off first listen in the headphones and the second listen in the car, those were the songs that transitioned from headphones to whip the best.
You know, I was listening to headphones last night and I was like, nah, I want to ride around to it today.
You need to ride in that 10.
Yeah, you just got to ride to it. No, that shit was hard, man. I always like when him and 38 get together, man. I liked him on Plugs too as well.
No, that's what I mean. They have great chemistry, but I don't know if they've ever popped like this on a record. And I mean, he's got stuff with Special, like from My First Brick, like some of his original stuff. That's what I mean. This is one of his original homies. That's what I mean when I said he kept this tight. Oh, Stove on here, Boldy on here, Conway on here, Westside on here, 38 on here. Rest of them dudes, you know, that's home team type shit.
I think this is no, that's Derringer.
This is Derringer too, Uncle Bun?
Yep, that's Derringer.
This is one of Derringer's more impressive beats because this is a switch up from what you hear from him. I think, in my opinion, like it sounds like him. It's that RZA inspired style of beat making, but it's different. And this record is great. And it's one of those. This is one of those songs that submit your album of the year like certification. When the track following, the track with Conway is arguably as good and or not better, that's when you start having album of the year conversations. And I want to say something right quick just about like the thing with him and Conway. What they actually have is beautiful. It's like very, very rare that family members are considered ever in this high regard in the annals of hip hop at the same time. The only time I can really think of is the Jizza and Old Dirty Bastard as far as MCs, and nobody ever compared them because they were just so vastly different.
And I love how Conway is giving, you know what I'm saying, Benny his props and just talking about how proud he is of him on the record, man. Like, I think that's dope. Because these guys have a lot to be proud of because they've really accomplished a lot in a short period. I won't say a short period of time because they've been grinding for a minute. They changed the game. Whether people want to acknowledge that or not, they changed the climate out here. And it's one of the reasons why, you know, we're so hard on Kendrick and not coming outside because the climate has changed. And it's changed to some real rap shit. And the guy who says he's smoking on your top 5 is nowhere to be found.
Like, I mean, I say this in all seriousness. Like, Johnny P's Caddy alone, like, that's 2 top 20 verse of the year caliber verses, like, coming out.
Yeah.
Like, the level is high here. That's why, look, the level is high here. The level in the bar is high. And so I know people feel like we're hating sometimes. And by we, I mean me, because it's me they be talking about. But
we want the best out of these artists, and this is it.
Right. So hold on. You want to know what? I have been critical of Benny because you want to know what? I felt like he was capable of making projects like this.
Consistently.
So consistently, he just showed me that he is capable of making a great end-to-end project that is capable of being album of the year. And so if I'm criticizing you, well, then do what you're capable of doing and make me eat my words, because that's pretty much what Benny's doing today. I don't have no criticisms, really, because you want to know what? This guy came out. He performed at the level that he's capable of performing at. And on top of that, showed me some things. One of the things that's astounding about this album, one of the main criticisms, he's been the worst beat picker of the bunch in the camp. Can't say that about this one. This is on some Pray for Paris beat picking type shit.
That's high praise. I
Is
don't
it
think
not
it's quite there,
not
but
as
it's up.
diverse? It's
Yeah.
not as diverse, but the quality is there. Not as diverse. There's no Euro step style great beat on here, and there's no 500 pound ounces style beat on here, like that diverse great beat, or no vacancy. It doesn't. No, it's not that. But quality, yeah, he went into Alchemist and Derringer shit like no. Like, no, that one right there for that feel. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like Super Plug, that's a whole feel with that track. Like he picked that track to create that feel he's thinking about.
Let's get to the next track.
Yeah.
Thowie's Revenge.
I was a little afraid when this track first came on.
That's Alchemist, by the way.
It is. But this is the switch up. And I think he does just a good enough job on here that it comes off. I think it's the weakest joint on the album.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. If this is the weakest song on here, album of the year so far.
Billy Joe. That's the Alchemist.
Yeah, no. You can tell that's Alchemist. That's just hard.
Yeah.
That's just hard. I don't know what to say. Like, that's hard. Like, that's Griselda. That's that sound again. That's what they brought back to the game. They kind of like, well, the Locks used to do that. Right. Well, Mobb Deep used to do that. Well, Cool G Rap used to do that. You feel what I'm saying? That's what one of those records is. So that's what Billy Joe is.
Nas the GOAT says that's the best song on the album.
If you feel that way about it, I can't disagree with you because it creates that vibe and that feeling. And if that's what you're going to him for and that's what you're known for, no, I can't argue with that. Because it's a similar vibe to Super Plug in terms of him embodying that feeling and you feel and it coming off of him and not just lyrically and delivery wise. It's that aura. His aura is coming off.
Man says, I don't know about album of the year so far. What's better? What would you say is better?
I mean, because here's what I'll tell you. I think Conway's album is content-wise a little bit more diverse. Mm-hmm. But I think the beats on this album are better.
The real Leonard Jackson says, nah, you bugging, Coop. Throwaways Revenge, the weakest track? Nah, bro.
What's the weakest track on here?
What is the weakest track on here for people?
Right. Because hold on. Because it's not better than any track 1 through 7. That's for damn sure. Like, it's not better than any of those first 7 tracks. Mike, I mean, am I wrong here?
I'm looking at the track list right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Weekends and the Perrys would probably be the closest thing.
I was just about to say that. I was gonna go there.
But I think that beat is better though.
Next song. And then we'll talk about the whole thing. Guerrero. Featuring West Side Gun. I like that.
Me too. That was like 9 and 10. That's what I mean about he knew what he was doing. Mm-hmm. It's like he's doing his thing. He's including everybody. And then he got on his Griselda shit right quick. And here it is, 9 and 10. That's that classic Griselda. That's the sound. And that's West Side. West Side comes off very well on this track too. And lyrically, I want to say this, like Benny is precise on this album. Mm-hmm. He's not Conway.
No, I realized that on this album too, and I like Benny a lot. But yeah, Conway is just in a whole different zone right now.
Well, you want to know what? He's special, and Benny's special too. But what you have to look at is that Benny has put his whole package together, so he doesn't need to be lyrically better than Conway. So when he's talking about the competition, I think we can kind of put that to bed too. On a level that's like, well, no. We know Conway is lyrically better. Mm-hmm. We can establish that, but that doesn't mean that Benny can't have an equal career and have equal stature. Being the better lyricist does not equate to having the better career.
I'm seeing people saying that Weekend and the Perrys is the weakest song.
No, I was going to say, if you want to say Weekend and the Perrys is weaker than Thowie's Revenge, then we can have it. But those are the two, though. Those are the two songs on here that, on a song full of 4.5s and 5s, mm-hmm. those are the 2 4s. So either one of those. I prefer Weekends and the Perrys because I I like hearing combinations of artists who I know work well together. Benny and Boldy work well together. But if you want to go the other way, I feel you.
All right. What about Busta Bricknick?
It's the rhyme of the year right now.
I was thinking the same thing. I was listening to it. I was like, yo, this verse might be verse of the year so far.
Verse of the year.
Not sure.
It's no. I am.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
It's the rhyme of the year so far.
He did his thing.
No, who did that beat? Derringer?
The beat is Alchemist. That's Alchemist.
That's Alchemist?
Behringer and Beat Butcher did Guerrero.
Derringer and Beat Butcher did Guerrero. Okay, that's right, because I'm on track 10. I need to write down 11. Right?
Okay. Yeah, Busta Bricknick is 11. And that's the Alchemist.
It's just rhyme of the year. Like, I don't...
Yeah, ain't no other way to put it, man.
Ain't no other way to put it. That's the rhyme of the year so far.
Mr. Chow Hall, which is the closer, that's the Alchemist.
That was a nice personal touch to end the album that I wasn't expecting. Like, he kept his keys, but there's some growth in there to be heard from this project too. You get what I'm saying? Like towards the end, you can hear like, well, he does what he does. He can give people what they want, but he can show some growth at the end too. I have nothing to complain about with this project. Beat wise, I mean, Mike, is this the best produced album this year? Right?
Yeah, so far this year.
So, I mean, one of the things that's been hurting him in terms of these albums sounding great has been his beat selection.
And what would you give this album out of 5?
4.75.
4.75.
Yeah. What do you want to say about what? Hold on. If there's 12 records, right?
Right.
The only records on here I would even think about skipping is Weekends in the Perrys and Thoey's Revenge. The same way I'm hard on him when I feel like the shit don't slap is the same way I'm going to praise him when I feel like he delivers. This album is a delivery. It is the delivery of lyrics. It's a delivery of rhyme schemes. It's a delivery of production. It's a delivery of what his core base likes and asks for. Where's the problem? The guest appearances aren't the problem. He's not the problem.
The beats aren't the problem.
The rhymes aren't
one could say that the lack of lyrical diversity in the content could be a problem.
I mean, it's Tana Talk 4, so I don't know what type of talk you were expecting.
Great 88 says 3.8. Terminator 2 says 3.5.
Okay.
Nas the Goat says, wow, that's too high, Coop. 4 out of 5.
I think both of y'all have been smoking 3.5s. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Rigor Raw says 4.25. Jordan House says 4, an absolute at the most.
I see
Damian Harris 3.75. AKs and Curtains is 4.
So I think I want to hear what all of those people who gave that rating think of Burden of Proof, because this is way better than that shit.
Yeah, do you guys think this is better than Burden of Proof? I see another person, Ross says, Tana Talk 4, hold on. It's moving so fast. Ross says, Tana Talk 4 is my favorite album so far this year. I love this album, strong 4. I see 4 out of 5. I see 4.25. The real Leonard Washington says, yeah, it doesn't have a lot of flaws, but I can't give it a 4.7 out of 5. It's not less than a 4, though.
How can an album not have a lot of... Okay, so what is a 4 to y'all?
Did you guys like this album better than Burden of Proof?
Like, Gunna's album was a 4 to me. Gunna's album was a 4.
I was going to go 4.5. Yeah, people say 4.5, 4.5. Way better than Burden of Proof.
Okay, if it's way better than Burden of Proof, and Burden of Proof...
Well, these are different people saying this.
No, I'm just... No. We need to get our shit together up in here. Burden of Proof is a 4-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like 3.75, 4-ish.
Mm-hmm.
This is clearly a step ahead of that on every level. Like, if you take One Way Flight and Warpaint off a Burden of Proof, it's not even a 4, Mike.
You're right. I don't even listen to Burden of Proof. That's
what I'm talking about. What are y'all hearing? Because y'all Now it seems like people are being hard on him the way I've been. No. Now's not the time to do that. This shit is dope.
They said
I know what I heard. No. I know what I heard today. I heard Superplug. Superplug sound like something off Tana Talk. Back 2 times. Oh, that's Stove and Benny. They flexing on there. Johnny P's kept Cole and Benny getting busy on there. Conway and Benny getting busy on Tyson versus Ali. Uncle Bun is bananas. No, y'all. No.
One of two things is gonna happen. We're gonna keep listening to this album like we listen to Alfredo, and it's just gonna sound better and better. Or we're gonna put this down like we did Burden of Proof and not pick it back up. We're just gonna have to circle back around and see which of these things gonna apply in the next coming months. And not to mention, Pusha T is dropping in 2 weeks. So I think, me personally, and I think we said this offline, I think that this album puts a lot of pressure on Pusha T.
Me too.
Not to mention that Pusha T has that Jay-Z verse that this one should have had.
Hold on. And you want to know what? This is why I'm saying 4.75 too. I've heard this album 3 times already.
Mm-hmm.
I always prefer to go down than go up. I don't like going up. Because when you go down, that means the replay factor isn't there. You know what I'm saying? Real. When that means the replay wasn't there. When you start down and then you go up, that means you wasn't fucking paying attention and you missed some shit. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm gonna keep that 4.75 and we'll see how it holds, because what I'm not about to do is give this a 4.25. Because the beats alone and who he is as an MC alone says that if he delivers beat-wise, the album's going to be that. You get what I'm saying? If he delivers beat-wise from end to end because of who he is as an MC, he's going to give you a 4.25, because guess what? That's what he did with Burden of Proof. You feel me? This isn't that. This is a level up from that. And so I'd rather be in a position of having to go down to a 4.5 than having to step up to a 4.75 if this shit holds. Like, I think it's about the whole. Like, that track with Stove is about to go on mixtapes, if they still make mixtapes or whatever it is that they do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever a mixtape is, it's about to be on all of them. He got Johnny P's Caddy floating around with Cole. He got 10 More Commandments floating around with Diddy. This is his last contractual obligation before he goes to Def Jam. No, he's touching all the bases and doing everything properly. 4.75.
I want to see how. I mean, I know we spoke about this earlier, but why do you think it's better than Conway's album?
Mostly production-wise.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing: lyrically, he caught up enough on this project for me. Mm-hmm. Not saying he's better or past him, but caught up enough. And beat-wise did a better job of beat selection from beginning to end. And this album is more entertaining. And this rap shit is about entertainment. So for some of the people that say Conway's album was boring, and I was like, nah, more safe than boring. This is what I'm talking about. Because this shit is more exciting than God Don't Make Mistakes.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Because